Buckle up, friends, and welcome to the Thriving Alcohol-Free podcast. I'm your host, Deb, otherwise known as Mocktail Mom, a retired wine drinker that finally got sick and tired of spinning on life's broken record called Detox to Retox. Let this podcast be an encouragement to you if alcohol is maybe a form of self-care for you, or you find yourself dragging through the day waiting to pour another glass. I am excited to share with you the fun of discovering new things to drink when you aren't drinking and the joy of waking up each day without a hangover. It is an honor to serve as your sober fun guide, so sit back and relax or keep doing whatever it is you're doing. This show is produced for you with love from the great state of Kentucky. Thanks so much for being here and big time cheers. All right. Hey, friends, it's Deb. Welcome back to Thriving Alcohol Free. How are you? I'm so happy you're here. I have a very special guest today, the founder of a delicious non-alcoholic cocktail company, Vanessa Royle of Tilden. The co-founder of Tilden is here. I'm so happy you're here. And I have your bottles with me, Tandem and Lacewing.
Yes,
These
I'm
are delicious.
so excited to be here.
These are so good. I'm so excited to have you share your story and get to know you more. Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I'm
Oh
glad
my-
you liked them.
They're so good. Okay, I'm going to read your bio. Don't laugh, everyone. They all know, my audience knows, Deb has trouble reading out loud. So here we go. Vanessa Royle is the co-founder and CEO of Tilden, a pioneering non-alcoholic cocktail company she launched after earning her MBA at Harvard Business School. Tiny little school, maybe people have heard of it. After quitting alcohol in 2020, she became passionate about reshaping social drinking culture, bringing a sharp strategic lens to the industry informed by her background. So tell us about starting Tilden and how this all came about when you were at Harvard.
So I quit drinking, like you said, in May of 2020. I was living with my in-laws during lockdown, feeling a lot of anxiety, total Groundhog Day, as I'm sure a lot of people did, waking up, every morning it was the same thing. I was working in my tech PR job at the time, and we would have, nightly or, every other night Zoom happy hours, and we'd have, a glass of wine or a canned cocktail or whatever it was. And the hangovers were just starting to get worse. I was, nearing the end of my 20s. Hangovers were getting worse. Anxiety was picking up quite a bit. And so I made the decision to just cut out alcohol, just to kind of see if I could feel better, reset. I cut out sugar. I cut out caffeine. My goal was like, let's get back to normal. Sugar and caffeine came back quite quickly. I love both.
Okay. I was going to ask you. Okay.
So no, I drink a lot of coffee now. I love my desserts, but
Okay.
I loved how I felt without alcohol. It gave me space to kind of reflect on my past alcohol consumption and realize that alcohol definitely had been a problem for me in college. I was definitely a big partier. There was a huge binge drinking culture in my undergrad. And then, post-college, very much like a work hard, play hard, live for the weekends kind of person.
Sure.
A lot of work happy hours and just, alcohol's everywhere. So I very much enjoyed drinking. And then it was, like I said, during COVID that I had the space from those social, environments to really reconsider and reflect on my past usage. So I ended up, it had been a month without alcohol. I was feeling a lot better. I was in therapy. I was just like, okay, I'm feeling like myself again. This is great. And then after 2 months, I said, okay, well, I'm feeling even better. And I was about to head off to business school. And I kind of just made the decision, I'm going to try my best to stay sober through business school. And it's an opportunity for me to introduce myself to all these people who don't know me. They don't know my past. They don't know what I was like in undergrad. This could be a good restart for me. And it was during my time that first semester, we were still sort of in Zoom hybrid COVID school, that, we were doing very small group dinners. It was all very, social safe distancing and all that sort of stuff we went through. But it was during that time that I, for the first time, realized how few interesting non-alcoholic options there were.
Wow.
This was 2020. So
there was barely
hundreds
anything.
of amazing brands now. But at the time it was like you could buy stuff online. But if you went out to a bar or a restaurant or went to someone's house, it was soda water, it was Diet Coke. That was about it. And I was going to these upscale networking events, schmoozing with my professors and all these industry titans and, drinking my Diet Coke, being asked, oh, are you pregnant? Or do you have a problem? And it was the first time I dealt with that. And I was very confident about sharing my story. And I had no shame in telling people, I quit drinking and no, I'm not going to drink anymore. But I just felt like it was really obnoxious, and even more so obnoxious that I didn't have something enjoyable to drink.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm totally left out of this conversation. And then also as I talked more and more, or opened up more and more to people about my newfound sobriety, it seemed like a lot of people were in the same boat.
Interesting.
Or, were allergic to alcohol, or were secretly pregnant and didn't want to tell anybody, or, there were just all these different use cases people had for why they wanted better options. And so I put out a call basically to some classmates about this very, very early idea to build a non-alcoholic cocktail, and met my co-founder on Zoom. She's a lifelong non-drinker. Her name's Mariah. She's a lifelong non-drinker from Las Vegas. So she grew up around this, hospitality, party hardy environment, and is one of those people who can have fun no matter what, and is a great hostess and always has a ton of inclusive options for people. So she was a great cheerleader from the start, and obviously has been instrumental in building this company with me. So that's kind of how we started. And then we were really building this as we were finishing out our business school degrees. So got a lot of great insights and took classes around entrepreneurship, and really connected with professors who helped us get it off the ground.
Amazing. I mean, you're in the mecca of business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better place for you to have been to start this.
Absolutely. Looking back, I'm like, I wish I had done a little less, because it would have been more fun to just not be going to class all day and then mixing cocktails all night. Yep. But I mean, so just building a company while taking classes, learning about other companies, and then applying that to your company was just like, you can't
in real time. Yeah. Not like, okay, I'm going to save this for 2 years down the road. It's like, okay, right now we're going to apply this to what I'm doing.
Oh, usually when I'm learning something, it like in one ear out the other. And this was truly like, oh, I'm learning about how to raise money, and then I'm actually going to apply that tomorrow to what I'm doing.
to the pitch
everything I learned, I'm like, is seared into my brain, because I've actually applied it all. So
did you have experience like trying to get funds and stuff? Like, is it like experiences like when you're at Shark Tank and you're like, they're like asking you, peppering questions at you? Is that what it's like when you're trying to raise funds? I've never raised funds.
You're not in front of like a panel per se. I mean, I have done pitches like that, and I've actually pitched Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank.
Really?
In a class. He did not like my idea, and he called me a cockroach, but it only added fuel to my fire. So that's all right.
I love that.
But Shark Tank is a amplified version of what it's like to pitch investors. The valuations, the percentages they want to take are insane. And that's why I think at this point, Shark Tank is very much a marketing play rather than an actual way for small companies to get investment. But it can be kind of like that. I mean, I've pitched a lot of angel groups and a lot of, investor groups and a lot of individuals, and it's just, questions, and everybody has different questions, and some questions are really astute and others are kind of like, did you not read the pitch?
This podcast is sponsored by the Mocktail Social Club. So if you're trying to figure out what to drink when you're not drinking, you are not alone. Join me in the Mocktail Social Club. It's your go-to community for women who love great drinks without the alcohol. Join us for weekly online happy half hours where we sip, chat, connect, and discover the best mocktails and non-alcoholic options. It's fun and it's social. And it's just about getting together and connecting over a mocktail or a non-alcoholic wine. If you're ready to raise a glass, check out the mocktailsocialclub.com. Big time cheers to you. And here we go with the rest of the episode. Well, that would be like me. I'm like, you and I are talking and you're like, okay, remember you have to refrigerate those. I'm like, oh, I didn't read the bottle.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, so, yes. You'd be shocked. The number of people who are like, well, have you thought about mixing it with alcohol? Is that a good? And you're
Seriously?
like, I have thought about it, but that would be directly counter to my mission. So
yes,
that is in fact not what you should think about.
If you really want to, you go right ahead. Yes.
That's what I say. I'm like, you do what you'd like to do, but that will not be part of the
That's
growth
not,
plan.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's not part
unfortunately.
of, yes, our mission here. That's not what we're
Yes,
doing.
exactly.
That's so funny. Do you find that like when you were at Harvard, the most successful people that you've met, that they're sober? I feel like I keep hearing more and more people, like high performers, are sober or don't drink very much.
I think
Or
it's
do you?
probably like a bell curve almost. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
it's like really high functioning sober people and really high functioning alcoholics, and
So
then it
it's
kind
like
of everyone in
either,
the middle who's like
yeah,
moderating.
yeah, yeah.
Because I do think there's still very much that work hard, play hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think business school, it's a lot of investment bankers, a lot of consultants, a lot of people who are wining and dining
Yeah.
and
Yep. Entertaining.
traveling a lot and entertaining. And I think while society overall is waking up to this healthier way of life and acknowledging the fact that, no amount of alcohol is truly good for us.
Right.
I don't know that those industries have started to moderate quite as much as the general public. But I do have a ton of, just anecdotally, I have a ton of classmates who've, bought my product or become
Really.
investors,
Really.
or just reached out to me saying, yeah, I'm cutting back too. So it just feels like
Mm.
overall, generally people are cutting back quite a lot, in a way that definitely was not the case when I first
When you
quit.
first started.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like, yeah,
definitely changed. It's definitely
yeah.
changed. What did it feel like the first time somebody invested in Tilden? What was that? What was that? What did that feel like for you?
Yeah, it was funny because I was just talking about it today. We spoke with our investor yesterday, and
Okay.
he's someone I know very well, and he's started a lot of companies, and I had just been talking to him about the idea. I was not even asking him for money.
Uh-huh.
And that's what they always say, oh, you'll raise money when you're not trying to, which is
Hmm.
fun, but then when you're actually trying to raise money, you're like,
It's not so fun.
where are all those people?
It can be a little stressful. Knock, knock. I'm waiting
Yeah,
for
you're like,
you.
I'm
Yeah.
just nonchalantly not trying to raise money while raising money. Anyway, we had been talking about the business and what I was trying to build. And he said, how much do you need to kind of do testing and formulation and branding? And I said, oh, well, this is about as much. And he's like, okay, well, I'll start you off with this. And I went, you
Oh.
mean you'll invest? And he goes, yeah. Okay. So it was
Oh.
very lucky. Like, I don't think a lot of people, I feel grateful to have had access to that. It really truly like got us off the ground. And then we were able to do our true friends and family raise about 6 months later. And it also just, I think, gave us the confidence, like, oh, someone who's been there, who's done startups,
Mm,
sees that there's opportunity.
that's great.
Fundraising has gotten so much tighter and so much harder in the last few years.
Really
Um, but that first raise really gave us like the fuel to launch it.
amazing.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. It just feels great when obviously people believe in
For
you enough
sure.
to invest, and we are very, mindful of other people's money, and we want to make sure we're
Mm.
doing the best we can with it. So yeah, it was just a great vote of confidence and definitely helped us get off the
Such a
ground.
great feeling. Yeah, like, okay, here we go. Okay, and then you take
Yeah.
the check and you put it in your bank account and you see the balance has changed. I
Yep.
mean, it's not
You
this is
feel
not
rich for about 5 minutes,
for about
and
5
then you go,
seconds.
oh, that money's going to go real quick.
Yeah, it's all spent
When are we going to
already.
get the
Yeah,
next
yeah, but
bit?
just
Yeah.
to see that balance there just for a second is like, "Oh my
Oh
gosh, that
yeah.
must have been so
You can
exciting."
breathe for a nice
Yeah.
dinner,
Oh,
and then
oh,
you're
yeah,
back to
yeah.
square one. But yeah,
Oh my gosh. So, okay, tell me, yeah, because we were saying like a little bit about like how the space has changed so much.
sure.
I mean, can we talk about the non-alcoholic movement and this
Absolutely.
space and what is happening here?
Absolutely. So one big sort of data stat that we talked about a lot when we were first starting was that alcohol sales during COVID really skyrocketed, but the number of people drinking actually decreased by quite a lot.
Oh,
So it was certain people drinking a lot more and really hunkering down, drinking at home. And then it was other people like me who were like, oh, I don't have a reason to go out to a bar or a happy hour. Why would I drink?
interesting.
But we just weren't a
I was the
very,
one
yeah,
drinking more. I was
yeah, you
drinking
got
more.
these two
Yep.
kind of different
Mhm.
people. And I think the people quitting drinking weren't very vocal, but coming out of COVID, it was like all of us now going to bars and restaurants going, wow, there truly is nothing on these menus for us. So I
Yeah.
think there's been a huge shift in awareness about Gen Z really not drinking like other generations. Obviously, the health aspect, the awareness of alcohol and what it does. Um, and then just seeing the sales numbers of alcohol overall really decline has been really good for our industry, but also difficult in a way because as a non-alc brand that's really focused on bars and restaurants, we obviously need to work with alcohol distributors at times to get into those places. You want kind of everyone to succeed and everyone to grow this, but
Sure.
it's been great for us. Non-alcoholic is up 30% year over year.
Wow.
I think alcoholic wine and beer are down about 5 to 10%. So a lot of these distributors, a lot of bars and restaurants are realizing that in order to offset the decline in alcohol sales, they really need to build up non-alcoholic menus and offerings. So from a consumer perspective, it's really exciting. I feel like every place, even if it's the dreaded soda water with juice, at least they're thinking about it.
You're right. No, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
And then I will come in and I'll replace that on the menu with something better. That's my goal. But
yes.
Yeah. But, at least they've started, at least they realize, Diet Coke and lemonade is not going to really move the needle for them. And then just anecdotally, I mean, when I started doing events for Tilden 2 years ago, I would have my booth or my table set up at markets or, retail partners. And 80% of people are like, ugh, non-alcoholic, what's the point? Or, oh, can I add alcohol to that? And I don't know when the switch flipped, but nowadays it's like 20% of people saying those comments. The rest are like, oh, thank goodness I don't drink. My daughter doesn't drink. I'm trying to cut back. Oh my God, you're the only one at this event who's not alcohol. Like I'm doing this beer fest this weekend and I did it last year and people flocked to my table.
Really?
Because they're like, oh my God, I don't drink and I got dragged to this event. And here you are, finally, I have something I can enjoy, or I'm drunk and I need to pause.
Right. I need to, need a little break.
There's been a lot more excitement and just people feeling confident and comfortable and flocking toward non-alc, which is
I love
great.
that. Yeah. Feeling confident, like coming up and really speaking loudly about it as opposed to like, oh, like, can I quickly grab a glass? So people don't know that I'm not drinking, people are like, so open about it now. I love it.
It feels like it used to be, you'd go to brunch and people say, oh, are you having a cocktail? Oh, I guess then I'll have a cocktail. It's like giving, and now it's the opposite. I feel like I'll order my mocktail or my Tilden or whatever. Yep. And then everyone goes, oh, well, if you're not drinking, that sounds good. I'll have that too. And it like invites, it welcomes other people to be like, oh yeah, I too will enjoy that and not feel lame. And you're like,
exactly.
Yeah, no,
yep.
This is,
yeah. We can all still have a good time. We can all connect and not have a hangover. Or not be buzzed out for the rest of the afternoon. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about Tilden? About
Absolutely.
These 2 bottles of deliciousness, my new BFFs.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to explain?
Our babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Babies.
So I mentioned, we started well at Harvard, but we spent about 2 years creating those cocktails. So hundreds of iterations and recipes. And we had, dinner parties with our friends and classmates and professors with scorecards.
Really?
We're not trying to mimic existing cocktails. So while they might remind you of things, the goal was really to create bespoke concoctions that weren't going to trigger anybody. We're truly going to stand alone and be, thoughtful drinks for the non-drinker first. Because we feel like there were a lot of non-alc margaritas and Negronis and like, that's awesome. Love those products. But there should be creativity on the non-alc side as well as the alcoholic side. So we looked at different categories, on cocktail menus. I used to enjoy a more zesty, savory kind of, old fashioned or whiskey based cocktails. That's sort of what Tandem was loosely built around. And then, the gardeny, more like gin based or vodka based kind of cocktail always exists on a menu. That is more lacewing you're holding up.
Good.
Lacewing is cucumber, basil, lychee with a juniper berry base. There's a bit of Szechuan pepper for like interesting mouthfeel, but it's not spicy.
It's not spicy, but there's that little hint of it.
Little lingering. Yeah. Szechuan doesn't add spice, but it kind of numbs your mouth over time. So it adds like an interesting viscosity, which you'll find in cocktails. So you just pour it over ice and add a cucumber ribbon. And then Tandem is bitter orange, tart cherry, and ginger. And then it has American oak, rooibos, and lapsang for that like smokiness. I really like warming that one up with like cinnamon on top. It's like a hot toddy.
Oh my gosh.
And
it has like a little woody,
Yeah, it's from the American oak. So it's like vanilla charred oak chips.
Okay. It's delicious.
Yeah. So we experimented with all that. Thank you.
They're so good. And I especially like that there's no mind altering ingredients. So, there's a lot of products similar, in this space now that are going to make you feel buzzed. And I'm like, I don't want to buzz. I just want
Yeah.
to enjoy an alcohol-free cocktail, non-alcoholic mocktail, whatever, non-alcoholic drink, and
Yeah.
not be buzzed. I don't need to buzz. So I don't know. Would we call that
My
Kentucky sober? I know they have California sober. Should I
California
start calling
sober
that?
is decidedly not sober, but
I,
it is
I
something.
had somebody tell me they're Kentucky or they were California sober. The first time I heard that term, I'd never heard that term before. Somebody's like, "Oh, I'm California sober," and I was like, I literally was like joking. I was like, "Oh, I'm Kentucky sober." Like I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And then I learned. I'm like, "Oh, that's totally different.
Yeah.
That wasn't my goal."
Alcohol sober is what you mean.
Alcohol
Yeah,
sober. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it
So
was
yes.
interesting when I quit and then I started looking at products that existed out there. What I was finding was like pretty sugary,
Mm-hmm.
especially plates, bar and restaurant mocktails can be really sugary.
Yep.
The mind altering piece, I remember being at a non-alc shop in New York and trying to help a pregnant woman out
Okay.
finding stuff. And the saleswoman wasn't super helpful, but we were looking and I said, oh, just make sure you look at the back of the bottle because sometimes there's warnings or ingredients. And she goes, why would there be a warning on a non-alc product? And I said, well, there's certain ingredients or spices or herbs that, if you're
Sure.
taking medicines or this, maybe you should, research, figure out for yourself. But it just kind of dawned on me, like pregnant women are a big part of a group
Yeah.
that's not drinking. I take SSRIs. A lot of people who don't drink
Yep.
do as well.
Yep.
You don't want to be mixing. So we kind of thought about those pieces. We don't have any grapefruit because that's a huge thing with Lipitor and SSRIs.
Yep.
We were just very thoughtful about like who the non-drinker is. It's someone who maybe just wants an amazing, complex, flavorful cocktail and doesn't want to have to like Google all the ingredients and make sure it's safe for them. And then to your point about the mind-altering piece, there's a time and place for that. And I think like everyone, I just was like, if you're at a bar or restaurant, I don't want you to have to like figure out how you're going to feel about this. Like just enjoy your cocktail, enjoy the fact that it's super low sugar and enjoy the complexity. That's all.
And it is. It's very complex. These are delicious. Thank you you sent these to me. So thank you so much. I really was so happy to try them. And I was
you're the expert. I wanted to make sure we got the seal of approval.
I don't read all the labels. Now I'll put them in the refrigerator, but they're not going to last very long. I mean, both bottles are almost half gone.
Don't use any preservatives, which is why they do have to be in the refrigerator. But,
okay. That's good to know.
But
yes.
They're great. Yeah.
Everybody else probably already knew that. They read the labels. Okay, so you focus on bars and restaurants. So how are you growing? How are you building the business?
Yeah, so we have a Shopify website, drinktilden.com. So we obviously get orders through there. We are officially on Amazon now as of 2 months ago.
Oh,
so
great.
We've seen a lot of growth there as well.
Good.
And that's just been helpful for, being able to ship quickly around the country. Bars, restaurants, and sort of specialty retailers have been our focus.
Okay.
At a personal level, like Mariah and I were most frustrated being in bars and restaurants. And because our product is so easy, you can just pour it over ice or, make your own thing out of it. We saw the bar and restaurant channel as being potentially really exciting and fruitful for us. And I'm out in California. Mariah's out in Boston. It's worked really well in both cities. So I think it's been welcomed definitely by those communities who know that they need something complex and compelling. And this makes it really easy to build out that
really nice
A+ menu. So we're doing really well there. And then, like we said, specialty retailers, we're not going super big across, Whole Foods or Total Wine quite yet, but that's definitely in the long-term plan.
Great.
But just trying to kind of reach customers where they need it the most through the bars and restaurants. And then obviously if people want to buy products for dinner parties or weddings or baby showers, we're online, we're on Amazon. So
I love that. Yeah. And Amazon makes it easy too. Then people, like you said, you can get it so fast.
Yep.
It's crazy how fast. I ordered something the other night. I think it was like 7:00 at night. And I ordered something and it was on my doorstep at like 3 a.m. I'm like, what is going on? And it wasn't anything
they knew. They were just holding it around the corner.
I think it was like those seriously, I'm like, how did they know? It was like they knew already maybe they saw what I was researching. They were little like gloves for Lily, my daughter, for like dry hands or whatever. It wasn't like it was some urgent thing. I mean, her hands were dry, but wow. So in the morning, you're all set.
I love that.
Yes. So what's been your favorite thing about building this business?
I think having a co-founder has been amazing. I think it would have been near to impossible to do it by myself just because there's so many ups and downs with entrepreneurship and, there could be a lot of self-doubt and you get told no a lot.
Yep.
And I think having that counterpart who lifts you up and provides that outside, or not outside, but additional perspective. So I've just had a lot of fun building this with Mariah.
Good.
I think we bring very different skill sets, very different mindsets. She's a consultant by trade. I am like a execute, bootstrappy type person. And so we just complement each other quite well. And I've learned a lot about, how to plan and how to be more strategic from her. And I think she learned hopefully a lot from me as well. But I think, working with her has definitely been a highlight. And then I think also coming from tech, where I was working on a very deeply technical infrastructure software product, it has been really fulfilling to hand people products and see joy, excitement, and delight on their faces and get instant feedback.
Right.
I do a lot of markets and events, and I just love when people go, oh my God, like I've been looking for this, or, now I have something to drink tonight. That side of things is something I didn't really plan for, but it's been really rewarding and kind of keeps you going when you're like having a rough day, or you get told no, you go, well, I have thousands of customers who love it and appreciate it and would be sad if we didn't exist. So that's always a really great part of running this business.
That is so true. I mean, maybe I'm a solopreneur, I guess, because I don't have,
sure.
It's not Mocktail Moms, right? There's just Mocktail Mom. But, and there's days where you think like, what am I doing? Like, am I just like 2 steps, forward, 5 steps back? You feel like, so to have that co-founder, to have somebody to bounce things off of all the time like that and lift you up, and to know what a difference your products are making, like that gets you through the hard days, to know like people's lives are, I'm not trying to be silly, but like people's lives are being changed by alcohol-free cocktails. They are.
Yeah.
I mean,
like it's not,
we're not solving the world's
life
problems.
Or death.
We're not bringing peace to the Middle East, but we are, we are bringing delight.
If I'm helping someone have a better day, or stay sober, or enjoy their pregnancy more, or whatever it is, then that's awesome.
Yep,
I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so happy to know you.
Likewise.
Congratulations to you guys. And I am just cheering you on for continued success. I mean, really,
I
wish you guys all the best. Tilden is phenomenal. So everybody, if you're not following, I don't think I mentioned their Instagram handle is Drink Tilden. So make sure you're following Tilden on Instagram, order them on Amazon or on their website, drinktilden.com. But Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us here at Thriving Alcohol Free. Lots of love to you, my friend, and to your baby, your little crawler. Yes.
Thank you.
Big time cheers to you for tuning in to the Thriving Alcohol Free podcast. I hope you will take something from today's episode and make one small change that will help you to thrive and have fun in life without alcohol. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social, send up a flare, or leave a rating and a review. I am cheering for you as you discover the world of non-alcoholic drinks and as you journey towards authentic freedom. See you in the next episode.